I am sure that with this game being almost 7 years old at this point, most everyone has seen or at least heard something about NieR Automata. But as one of those people that picked up the game, played the first playthrough, then called it a day, I know there are people that have never played this game. And maybe, once this video is over, I will have convinced at least one more person to play it. I'm going to try as hard as I can to make this video spoiler free, as this is mostly for people who have never played it but need to. On top of that, I would like to clarify that this is neither a deep dive into the lore or a serious look at its gameplay mechanics. If you want more information about stuff like that, I highly recommend a YouTuber by the name BrendoSP, who is phenomenal at both of those things. I'll leave a link in the description. What this video is a simple look at this game's overall appeal to its audience from the perspective of a mostly casual gamer. One thing I want to point out before we really get into it is that it is rare for me to be playing a game without something else running in the background, be that music or a YouTube video. But for this game, there was no way I could have truly gotten the emotional roller coaster of feelings that I had gotten had I done that. Whether you want to take your time, explore, and maybe fish around for the actually rather diverse fish available in this game, or rush as fast as you can through the story, smashing every encounter with the speed of a hedgehog of a primary color, this game has something for everyone. But to me, this game shines in ways that are hard to put into words, but I'm going to try. One thing that was always strange for me about games that had multiple player characters is that it almost seemed to suck you out of the immersion of the game, because it shows that you're not really involved, and you're just a spectator in someone else's story. For this game, it never really felt like that. This game truly makes you feel like it's you making the choices, but without making the characters you play in the game less important. It causes this peculiar sense of reverse existentialism. It makes you think about how you as a person would react or act in the many circumstances you view throughout the game, causing a level of thought that I have never experienced in a game before. If you're like me and only played that first playthrough and called it a day, I will say that it is definitely not the end. And rather than thinking of it as playing through the game again, rather think of it as a continuation of the story. I implore you to go back and continue. I promise it's worth it. One part of these quote-unquote open-world RPGs, the quotes I'll explain in a bit, that always turned me away from them was the mostly, if not always, pointless side quests, which basically just amount to busywork, or fetch quests that were purely there to either help people farm their level or to pad out game time. And don't get me wrong, sometimes some of the side quests can feel like that, even in this game, but at the same time, they don't. The thing that makes NieR Automata stand out is that even when doing those tedious fetch quest style side missions, it didn't feel like it was pointless. There was always some line of dialogue or some character backstory or future that led to a deeper understanding of what the world you had found yourself in had become. In my first playthrough of the entire game, I found myself upset when I had missed out on a side quest, and I'm now playing through the whole game again just so I can 100% it, including catching every possible fish. As for the open world, it is hard for me to truly consider Automata as an open world game, as while you can explore basically freely, it does not seem quite large and empty enough for me to truly consider it one. The smoothness of the transition between areas and the spread of areas would seem to imply an open world setting, but despite it being decently sized, it's not so big that you can't run from one end to the other in a semi-decent amount of time, but it's also not so compact that it seems disproportionate, and everything seems naturally connected rather than just jammed together to supply the players with different areas. And the characters you meet throughout the game feel like people that have truly been around and lived in these circumstances for a long time, and when you interact with them, it feels as though you really did something for them, regardless of whether or not that ends up being a good thing. It feels as though every character you talk to has their own worries and sorrows that just gives a level of humanity to them that I was not expecting. Even just running through a single area might cause a conversation to spark that gives even more life to the characters throughout the game. As for the graphics of the game, if you're just looking at the literal fidelity and texture snapping, maybe it's a little behind the curve. But in the multiple playthroughs that I have now done with this game, it does not stop making me stand and look around at the environment, with the different colors and lighting effects making it truly stand out. And on top of that, the fluidity of the movement of your character adds to the lifelikeness of the actions you can make. With many different types of attacks having their own return to passive stance animation, it makes the combat and movement incredibly smooth and satisfying. When it comes to the gameplay, as I said before, I won't be going into the nitty-gritty stuff, but I will mention that with all the weapons choices and the different combos you can unlock with the levels of the weapons and the like, it is far from simple for someone who is really into combat mechanics. But for someone like me that could honestly care less about that perfect 25-hit mega combo that guarantees to kill anything you meet, I'd rather run around with the starting weapons and beat everything till it dies. And even playing this game like that, over the course of multiple resets, I can honestly tell you I still enjoy doing just that. Now, is that for everyone? Probably not. But because of the variability of the methods of combat, I would say find some combo of weapons you like, or if you like uniqueness, swap them around a lot and stick with it, because this game is worth it. As for the story of the game, as I stated at the beginning of this, I don't want to get into spoilers, so this section is going to be relatively basic. But to me, this game was the kind of game that got you thinking, truly putting yourself, not necessarily within the exact events of the game, within the world it takes place, and imagining what could have been. As you see all the struggles that the characters in the game experience, it triggers this rare sense of philosophical existential pondering that isn't even for yourself, but for the ones within the game. It allows you this strange sense of bonding with the characters that I've never seen in a game quite like this. Probably my favorite aspect of this game, the music. There's something truly special when a game's music lines up really well to the events in the game. I'm not just talking about that sick guitar riff that plays in the background when you finally found that area boss. No, in NieR Automata, it is so much more than that. I recently got into a heated debate with a couple of friends on the necessity of music in video games, and mostly the conclusion is that music isn't needed to make or break a game. And while I do agree, one could argue that nothing is truly needed to make or break a game as long as someone enjoys it. But to me, the music in a game is the frosting on the cake. Sure, you could get that delicious cakey experience without the frosting, but you miss out on a truly superior experience. That is what the music in NieR Automata is like. It truly adds something to the game that it almost can't do without. Whether it's running around a desert looking for hidden watering holes, or smashing machines to pieces in their ancient manufacturing facility, the music adds a level of immersion that is truly stunning. I've mentioned the cringe transitioning a couple times at this point, and to be fair, there is pretty good reason for that. When going between areas or riding elevators, there's little to no pausing and loading. Even when a cutscene starts, it's almost instantaneous in its transition, at least on PC, and allows for an even more immersive experience without the loading screens clogging up your gaming experience. Now, obviously, Automata does have a fast travel option, and it does have a loading screen when using it, but the music of the area you are in continues to play, and even the loading screen is technically canonically accurate. As in the game, you play as an android, and the fast travel is a transferring your conscience to another body, and the loading screen is that body loading up. So in that sense, even the cutscenes are world accurate and aren't just something for the players while the next area loads. So when I tell you, you need to play this game, it's not necessarily because its combat is the most fun in any game ever, or that the missions are the most well thought out in history, or that it's the greatest technical marvel in existence. What I am telling you is that it is an experience, a truly special experience, that I believe everyone should immerse themselves in at least once. Thank you everyone for watching. For the most part, I probably won't be doing too many videos that are this style. I just really liked this game, and I wanted to put something out there. Mostly just to send to people that I really think need to play the game, or just to hopefully get more people to play the game, as even though it is pretty popular, it seems like the amount of people that don't think it deserves that popularity is strangely large. However, if people are interested in more things on this game, just let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see if I can make some more. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.